Bezrat Hashem, tonight we're going to be counting Netzach of Gevurah. This is going to be the 11th day of the Sfirat Omer. And to title Netzach of Gevurah is to be able to control energy. This is the idea of Netzach of Gevurah. And the power of Gevurah in my soul is this energy that we relate to. I mean, I do have some type of an energy that is allowing me to move, to breathe, to be productive. Needless to say, every person has a total different energy. And even the same person can have different types of energy. But what is the definition really of energy? The definition of energy is the power of the nefesh, the power of Gevurah in the nefesh. And like in anything, if you have too much energy, too much power, this is not good. Too little power, also not good. Has to be the right amount of power. So the idea behind Netzach of Gevurah is how do I control the energy in my nefesh. So Gevurah now will explain it as energy. But the Netzach is how do I control it. And we spoke about it last week when we had the Sfira of Netzach Shebechesed, that Netzach can be explained as Nitzachon, as victory. But Netzach also comes from the word in Hebrew, Lenatzeach. Lenatzeach doesn't mean to win. Lenatzeach means to be a conductor, to conduct. A conductor, he's standing in front of the symphony, in front of the orchestra, and then he's conducting the orchestra. So, Netzach Shebagvura is to be able to conduct the energy that's coming from my nefesh. Now again, too much energy, it's not good. This is where the Kabbalistic term comes from, that when there was too much energy, initially, the result was shvirat hakelim, a breaking of the vessels. You have too much energy of something, it will break its vessels. The example for us to relate with, because a lot of times when you're saying energy or too much light or kelim, not always it resonates in our mind in a clear way. The easiest way to explain it, if you take too much voltage, what would it do? It will explode all the light bulbs. That's the idea. Take now, we have in the wall 220, 240 volt. In North America, it's 110 volt. Go now to a power plant, it's 5,000 volts. Connect now the electricity from the power plants into your wall, it will burn down the whole house. That's the idea of too much energy. Or in the Kabbalistic term, too much light and vessels that are not able to receive this light. The capacity of the vessels are not qualified, so to say. So same thing here. I have koach, a certain power in my nefesh that is attached to the Sfira of Gevurah, and I need to know how to control it. Too much energy, too much Gevurah will be destructive. Too less energy, I'm going to be not productive, not going to do anything. So when it's too much energy, then it becomes destructive. When it's too less energy, then I'm now having a lack, so to say. This is called in the Kabbalistic term, kelim gdolim ve'orot ktanim. The kelim, the vessels are too big, but there's nothing to fill it in. It's almost like now sending a package in a little box in an 18-wheeler that can carry 80,000 pounds. Why do you need an 18-wheeler for that? It's the little box. The kli is not in a good relation to the or, to the light, or in this particular case, to the box. So again, too much energy, too much gevurah, not good, destructive. Too less energy, then how it's affecting us, practically saying, then you will feel emptiness. It will be translated to sadness, depression, loneliness, whatever it is. But nevertheless, I feel sometimes something empty inside of me. So what's the conclusion here? The conclusion is, like I said last week exactly, that we need a perfect balance. No perfect balance, then either too much or too less. So the conclusion is that we have to come to a perfect balance. How do I get to the perfect balance? I need control over the sfira that will allow me to reach to this balance, and this is Netzach. Netzach Shebagvura is taking the power, the ability, and the tools to control how much Gevurah is going to be used. Yesterday and the day before we were explaining that Gevurah can be courage, severity, judgment, and so forth, but I need to know how much. Sometimes too much of it is not good. Too much Gevurah, again, can be destructive. So Netzach Shebagvura is the power and the ability, lenatzeach, to conduct how much of the Gevurah, how much of the energy is going to be applied here. Because I don't want to put too much energy. Sometimes you put too much energy, nothing comes out of it. And then you, again, fall to the same place of emptiness. So the Sphira that is attached or that is controlling this control, this is called Sfirat HaNetzach. And what it needs to do is to organize. Sometimes people are very disorganized and then they don't function the right way. If you are organized, then your day is much more productive. We were talking about it throughout Pesach, how when we mentioned in Agadat Pesach, Avadim hayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim, you might remember that I talked about it 2 weeks ago, we say we were slaves to Paro in Egypt. Were you a slave to Paro? I wasn't a slave. Maybe you were. I don't know. Maybe in a different lifetime I was in Mitzrayim. I wasn't a slave to Paro. Why does the Agadah say Avadim hayinu? Because we're still slaves. And who's Paro? Paro is the king of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is the state of limitation, a consciousness of and an awareness of a state of limitation. Paro is the king. What's Paro? Switch the letters of Paro. Brings you a different word in Hebrew, which is hafra'ah. Hafra'ah is something that distracts me. So whenever something distracts me, I'm not productive. Now, if my entire day is full of distractions, then I'm not productive. I don't do anything. Comes already 5 o'clock. Oh my God, the day is over. I didn't do anything. Now, if you work for something, you can't wait for that 5 o'clock to come. But when you are self-employed, it's your business. Every moment here is, I'm not productive. So the Netzach is how to organize, but this time we're organizing energy. Netzach Shebagvura is organize your energy. And I need to, excuse me? The energy that is in my in my nefesh. No, the energy, I mean, everybody has an energy. Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you don't have energy. Why don't you have energy in the morning? So the energy is that, I'll explain it in a different way. First of all, we have to understand that we can't put too much strain on our kelim. Like imagine, we'll use different terms than Kabbalistic terms. You can't put too much strain on an engine. Put an engine to work too much, it will break down the engine. So same thing with me. I can't put too much strain on my spiritual engine. And the way you want to look at it is that if you're driving on a highway, you're not allowed to go above the speed limit, but you can't go beneath a certain limit, or less than a certain limit. You can't go 2 miles an hour on a highway. It's dangerous. There's a minimum amount and a maximum amount. So how I conduct my life, what causes me to do anything in this world is my energy. What is this energy? Is the power in my nefesh that allows me to do anything in this world. The easiest way to explain it, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're full of energy. You jump out of bed, you make things happen, you're on fire. And the next day, you don't want to go out of bed. What's the difference between this day and the next day? So some power in me is very weak, or sometimes the power in me is very strong. Now, yes, you can blame it on hard labor. A person comes and said, I worked now 9 hours so hard, I'm very tired. No, the body doesn't get so tired like you think. It's the nefesh that gets tired. Imagine it like a battery, that at the end of the day, your cell phone battery is down. And the same thing here. My energy is low because my soul lost energy. Energy is, to define it in a short version, and we now definitely can explain in length, but the short version of explaining what's energy is the power of my nefesh, power of my soul. It has to have some type of power. If I'm moving now my hand, this is coming from energy. Where is this energy coming from? From my nefesh. How do I know it's coming from my nefesh? My nefesh is my soul. The proof to how do I know that the energy comes from my soul, not from anything else, Sure, you heard my quote many times. Take now an energy bar and give it to a dead person. Would it help? No, the dead person is still dead. How come the energy bar is not giving him energy? Because the energy comes from the soul, not from the body. It's a misconception to think even that my energy is coming from my body. It's 100% correct that what I would fuel my body with, my nutrition, my food, that will be the fuel. But the energy is only coming from my soul. What is this energy? It's the power of my nefesh. If you're going like this, it's because there's a certain power in my soul that is allowing my hand to move. Now try to analyze everything that you do, and where is this energy coming from? How come one day you're praying like this, and one day you're praying, you're focused, you every word, you're like meditating on the word? What's the difference? It's the power of the nefesh. Sometimes when you want to use when you use too much energy, is that you try to do something too much, and it's almost like now taking a little flower and you want to keep it alive, and if you crush it, if you hold it too strong, you'll crush it.
The definition of energy that Rabbi was saying was the definition of energy, like when you walk into a room, you have a certain energy for the room, like a happy energy or a lower energy.
That's a whole different thing.
This is the actual
you want to try to relate to it more that how am I conducting my day? I mean, if you want to say practically saying, we want to take some exercise, is that you have to recognize when am I putting too much on myself. And sometimes, I'll give you one example out of many. I decide that I want to learn Torah. I take a month off and I say I'm going to learn Torah. And then I sit down and I say I'm going to learn 10 hours Torah. And the first hour is good, the second hour is also good. But then the third, I'm already like this, and the fourth, I'm like that, and I'm trying to put too much energy in a place that it doesn't work, and the result, destructive. You're not going to get anything. Better to learn 2 hours, and you apply, than to do it for 3 hours or 10 hours. It's almost like me saying, now I'm going to go and work out now. You think I can sustain more than a 10-minute workout? I didn't work out for 20 years. Why would I sustain more than a 10 minutes? After 10 minutes, I'm going to be collapsed on the floor. Now, what's going to happen? Let's say, hypothetically, my mind is still 20. The body is 40. Now I'm going to go do a workout. I can work out now for half an hour. It's too much energy. Now what's going to happen? The body will collapse. So this is just examples for you to try to relate with. Sometimes it's done not only in something physical, it's how I try to build a certain relationship. Sometimes you put too much effort into a relationship. Might not going to work. Sometimes it's too less. Sometimes it's this energy, it can be applied to how much you learn Torah, how much mitzvot you do. Nevertheless, what you want to put as an exercise here is to try to recognize when do you put too much strain on yourself. Financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and when are the times that you're not putting enough, that you have to be honest and say, I could have put much more effort into here. And to know when is it too much, when is it a little bit less. And that's when you want to apply the Netzach of Gevurah, is to know how am I applying, how much energy am I applying here. And again, another practical advice, look now at a person who's going to run a marathon. He can't put all of his energy into the first few miles. He has to now keep it very low energy. He has to run now 40 kilometers. When is he putting more energy? Towards the end. Take it like with two people who are fighting. If I know that my opponent is as strong as me, I can put all my energy in one shot. 30 seconds energy into the ring, I'm going to be already out of breath. Now he's going to overpower me. So I'm trying just to give you some ideas from the physical world. You take that and try to apply it into your own world, to my spiritual growth, to my mental growth, to my mental health, to my emotional health, and so forth. Can be applied in relationships, business, and so forth. But the point to take from that is, how do I control my energy? And the energy is the power that my soul possesses. I don't have energy coming from food, and energy is not coming from pills, and definitely not from energy bars. This is the fuel that I give the body. But my soul is the generator of energy. Wake up in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, learn 3 hours Torah, go to the mikveh, pray shacharit in a minyan, learn some more Torah, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be like Superman. Why? Because you boosted your soul with energy. Now what's going to happen? That's what happens to most people. They do what I just said, then they go out of the shul, One sentence of Lashon Hara, excuse me for the sound effects, all the air goes out. So where's the energy now? Well, yeah, you loaded a lot of energy, but you poked it in the bottom, so all the energy went. You see these hot water urns that we always have here? One time on Shabbat, on Friday, we set the place here for Shabbat. I took one of these big urns, I washed it out, put it under the sink, opened the sink, and walked around. I mean, this is 50 liters. Takes a couple of minutes to fill it up. I walk around, move things around. I come after 3 minutes. It didn't fill up, like this. Okay, I go continue moving things, cleaning, pushing, setting up, come after a few minutes. I look inside, like this. After 20 minutes of going back to I was like, what's going on here? So the cap was open. You know, that little black tap in the back was open. So I was pouring water in, and the water was going out as I was pouring in. So this is a perfect parable, how you take in, you put in a lot of energy into your body. You can only feed your soul with energy with Torah and mitzvot. There's not any other way. But you do one sin, all this energy goes out. Now you feel that you did all the mitzvot for nothing. So you're saying, what are the mitzvot good for? What is the Torah good for? So I need to know that my soul is a nuclear reactor of energy, power. This is energy, by the way. How am I moving my hand right now? Because of a muscle? No. There's a nefesh in the hand that is able to move it. Believe it or not, there's a spiritual entity that is able to move the hand right now. Like you put a hand in a puppet. Take the puppet and don't put a hand in there. It's a piece of cloth thrown on the desk. Put your hand in it. That's the energy. Suddenly you move your hand. Oh, what do you know? The puppet came alive. So the puppet is my soul, and the soul has energy. This energy, I know I'm using a lot of different words, and sometimes it's maybe not so clear, but we want to simplify it. I have a certain energy in me that can be coming out as anger, and it can come also as chesed. I can have a lot of energy and start helping another person. Sometimes you have this unbelievable energy, and you help somebody. Sometimes you don't. I don't feel like doing this right now. And sometimes this gevurah, this energy can come as an anger. How come sometimes you get angry like this, and sometimes you get angry, 3 days, you're going to break walls from anger? Well, what's the difference? The energy is not conducted the right way. Now imagine now you lose your temper and you're exploding from anger. Why don't you take this energy, wait a minute, let me use the Sefirah of Netzach, and I will conduct it. Maybe I'll take all this energy right now that needs to be let out. Let me direct it into something positive. Let me help another person. Let me learn some Torah. Let me take this energy and direct it. Again, in these series of classes, we try to keep it short and not to get too deep into it and not to philosophize of that, because then we can sit here for hours. The point here is that we want to kind of focus on something simple to what we need to focus on in the Sefirah. So to recap, Netzach of Gevurah is to conduct the energy in my nefesh, to be able to know when to put a lot of energy, less energy, the right amount of energy, so there's not going to be a damage, chas v'shalom, there's not going to be a lack of energy, and rather to have a perfect balance that my entire energy is directed to the right place at the right time in the right quantity.